All right, another day, another dollar. Let's talk about really the reason why we built this site. We really built it for insurance. I think I've talked about this in other videos. But one of the big things that I found with insurance carriers is being someone who works with them from a risk control litigation perspective. A lot of times we'll get sent out to by underwriters or insurers in general to fleets, whether they're a prospect trying to join a captive group or whatever the case might be. The underwriter wants to get a better picture of how that fleet is set up, what systems they have in place, what policies they have in place, and overall how they work. So one of the things we actually built, and this is really the reason we built this system to start with, and then it just kind of expanded. You're going to go to services and risk control intake. And this is the process for risk control. So historically, these insurers and insurance underwriters, they pay anywhere from, I don't know, $250 an hour on up for professionals, consultants, and risk control, loss control consultants to actually go out and review fleets. A couple different problems with this is sometimes they don't pick the right people to actually go do it. Yes, they are professionals that they're sending out, but sometimes it's an industrial hygienist who knows absolutely nothing about fleet or fleet compliance or fleet risk or fleet safety or brokers or broker agreements or carrier agreements. So what you have is you have this industrial hygienist that's an OSHA specialist and again, knows zero about fleet. So they'll pay this guy 10 to 40 hours to fly out to California plus travel and expenses. And he's going to give them a report that tells them basically absolutely nothing because they don't actually know what to look for the fleet that they were sent to. So part of the first issue is they're sending out people that don't know what they're doing, especially when it pertains to fleet. Second part is they'll send people like me out who definitely know fleet, and people like me, Dan McBride, some other fleet professionals who've been drivers and run and own companies and been brokers, and we understand the full concept of fleet risk and industry risk. But what they're doing is they're paying us the same 10 to 40 hours at $250 to $500 an hour to fly out to California plus our expenses to simply tell them what's possibly wrong. And what we found is a lot of times we'll fly out to California for this 10 to 40 hour times $250 event, and we'll get there and they'll have 6 former FMCSA agents running the program. All the policies are in place. There's nothing to see here. This is one of the best run compliance programs that we've ever seen, right? So now we realize we've flown all the way to California only to understand that we've wasted their money and our time. We're going to get paid for it, but it's a huge waste of our time. We could be spending that on carriers that really need it. And I think the reason that we built this was to kind of gut that. And someone asked me, well, why hasn't someone else solved this problem before? Well, what risk consultant do you know that makes between $250 and $500 an hour is going to go to the underwriter and say, hey, you're paying us too much. We shouldn't be going out there. We're wasting your money. Don't pay us that much money. So nobody's really solved the problem. It's not that no one knew it existed. It's just everyone still wants to keep their cash flow intact. I'm not against my cash flow, but what I am against is wasting my time and wasting your money. So what we do is we bill you a flat 4-hour fee to do a triage. And this is basically going to help whether you're an insurance underwriter, you're a litigator, you need some kind of litigation packet on a carrier, brokers, 3PLs. We generally will work with anybody, state programs in terms of prioritizing fleets that are or are not going over the scales and trying to keep the carriers who don't need to be on the scales, who have really good histories and really good compliant programs and safe programs off the scales so that we can keep the scales open for the worst carriers in our industry. All of this comes down to one thing, and it's really about understanding fleet risk and loss control and safer highways. While reducing exposure for the insurance company and the carrier and the people we share the road with. And I think the good thing about this is we're going to bill you 4 hours. We're going to review off-site everything about this carrier. We're going to get that fleet's perspective. There's a questionnaire that they essentially answer. We send them a questionnaire. They answer that fleet questionnaire, and what happens is this flows back to us. Um, and basically, when that questionnaire comes back as a response, it's going to automatically pull their FMCSA data from our system. And then what it's going to then do, it's going to generate an automated report. Now, what we do is we include several things. Now, in their questionnaire, they're going to ask fleet-specific questions, policy questions. They're going to have upload options to upload their policies that we request, samples of e-logs, etc. And when all this comes back, the system's going to compare it against FMCSA data in their history, and it's going to actually even tell you if they're possibly lying in the questionnaire, because your history, if you tell us that you have an hours of service program in place and you've got somebody managing hours of service, yet your hours of service are in alert status for a basic with FMCSA and it continues to rise, that's telling us that maybe you have it in place, but someone's not managing it. But ultimately, we're going to grade the assessment, the responses. We're going to grade the FMCSA history. And then if you have a claims history, say you've got a carrier that's coming up for renewal and you have a claim summary, we'll also integrate that in as a third part of that questionnaire. So we do this for fleet risk control, whether it's a prospect that you're trying to get. Again, we only charge typically 4 hours, sometimes less, depending on the fleet size. But basically, we're giving you an ability to triage who you should be focused on, who you should be spending your time on, and where you should be spending that time with that carrier. So for insurers, that's what we're doing. But for agents and brokers, what we're actually doing is helping you build a marketing package to submit to your underwriter to actually get a better premium or to get them renewed when it comes time for submission. So whether you're a broker, an agent, and you need a marketing package for your carrier client to submit to underwriting, or if you're an underwriter or you're a captive group and you're trying to really tone down where and how you're spending that money for risk control and loss control and triaging the people that are both prospects or people in your actual book of business, that's what this program is here for. So again, you can come in here, you can submit a request, and then we process it. We'll get you an engagement letter. We're going to send out your fleet questionnaire and communicate with your carrier or your carrier prospect. We're going to follow up to ask where the responses are. When we get those responses, we're going to compare it against FMCSA data. We're going to review it, not just trusting AI, but we're going to actually review it from a manual perspective. And we're going to actually put in our own important information in terms of what we see and what we recommend. And then you're going to get a report that's detailed. And it's basically going to tell you, you don't need to see this fleet but once a year. This is a great fleet. I would allow them in the captive or in your insurance book of business. Or we're going to basically say, not the best candidate in the world, but if you decide to keep them or select them or reduce their premiums or whatever you decide to do, you need to have someone visiting them at least every 6 months or every 3 months, or send somebody out immediately to start working with them because they don't have a program in place. So really the goal with this is for insurers to actually get back on the right page. We're not just about grading insurance companies based on who their book of business is, but we're here to actually help you solve those issues.